there. I was in the zone, man.
He was there. Welcome everybody to another episode of Meets in Midgard. It is good to be here today. I'm your host, Mac McCurdy. John Sturdivant is also my co-host. Barbara, you're gonna have to lean over a little more.
They don't see your hand.
Unless
magic.
I do the switch camera thing now. That'll happen. Okay, for those of you wondering, oh my God, I'm my beanie. Oh man, I was wearing my beanie. I got really hot, so I took it off. Anyway, we're gonna say hi to Barbara. Barbara, get ready. You're gonna go on camera. Everyone's only seen her hand, and now here it is. Oh my gosh!
Barbara is a hand.
Barbara is. She's more than a hand, people. Barbara is here with us, of course, and we have a special guest with us, Chris Prentice. And we are talking about addiction and recovery inside the pagan and heathen circles. And we'll get back, and you have a story to tell, a journey that we will get into. We'll get into kindred announcements as well. A whole lot of good stuff coming up. So hang in, and we'll be right back.
On the west coast of Skrelling's land, in the city of the trees, a heathen man heard the call of gods whispering in the breeze. He reached out to a selected few, those who knew the lore, to those who could see beyond the veil and saw the world tree's core. As the old gods arise anew, foes are many, together, let us learn from one another. Meets in Midgard, what do they have to say? Meets in Midgard, we're gathering today. Meets in Midgard, hear the wisdom of the Lord. Meets in Midgard, promise you it'll be no bore. We speak of modern applications to the ancient ways of how to apply the High One's words in this present day. Not only Odin's wisdom, but Loki's cunning wit, and how no matter who you are no misfit. So whether you are near, or whether you are far, whether you are just beginning, or have been on this path and winning, you are welcome to join us here. And you don't need to fear. I didn't even comb his hair. As the old gods arise anew, foes are many, friends are few. Gather round and join together. Let us learn from one another. Meets in Midgard, what do they have to say? Meets in Midgard, we are gathering today. Meets in Midgard, hear the wisdom of the Lord. Meets in Midgard, promise you it'll be no bore.
Hello and welcome back to Meets in Midgard. This is I forgot that was up and that it came up on our thing. But anyway, if you want to support our podcast, you could do so. I didn't expect to do this now, but I guess it's happening. You can do so by scanning the QR code there. Your money goes straight back into the Kindred, which is also in our community as well, where we provide support to families and members and people in our community that need help and assistance. So that is your chance to do that, and everything you do goes right back into the community.
And to Divine Help, right? Like the money goes to the booth fees so we can sell merchandise to bring up the revenue, and then the money actually goes to families who need help financially with bills or groceries, or we had somebody whose mom passed away. We were able to help a little bit with that during the holidays, that sort of thing.
So your money goes right back into the community. And speaking of which, let's go ahead and get off some announcements, Barbara, for what our Kindred has. Those of you that are interested, oops, I have the wrong thing going too. There, look at the ticker. That's the wrong one too. This is us.
So for announcements, the 17th, we are doing the next book club meeting.
Book club.
Friday at 6 p.m.
Friday at 6 p.m.
Covering chapters 5 and 6 of the Morgans. It's getting pretty interesting.
It is.
If you missed out, we did it last night. You guys can watch the recorded.
Mm-hmm.
The 18th at 10 a.m. we will be starting numerology with Demona Peacock. And that's
at Mystical Celtic live in person.
Yeah. And then we'll be doing a potluck after.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the 19th, we have been talking about Night Watch Paranormal for a while.
We have been.
We are officially booked with our first investigation. And Dustin will be there. And Richard is a part of the paranormal team from Mystical Celtic.
Yeah.
So Richard will be there as well.
Yep.
And then we're looking at May. We have this podcast on the 16th. And then we are doing an animism class on May 30th.
Cool. So lots of stuff coming up with the Kindred. A big announcement we have with the Kindred, and one of the reasons why we have Chris here today as well, is because we were talking about recovery from the pagan and heathen side of things. And just to introduce you, Chris, you are an addict in recovery. Or I don't know the correct phrasing, so you guide me through it.
So I spent most of my life as an alcoholic heroin addict, and I no longer drink and do heroin. And I went through a lot of recovery to be able to get to that point.
Righto. Well, then on that note, let's just dive right in.
All right.
We're going to go right in. So what led you to your path, both pagan and in recovery, that brings you to who you are right here, right now, today?
Oh, Jesus, that'll go back a long time. So when I was 8, I grew up very Christian, grew up in a Catholic, was baptized Catholic, was baptized Baptist. And at the age of 8, my mom was like, hey, you don't really like going to church, because there was some funky stuff going on with the church that we were at. And I was like, no, I don't. She was like, do you want to go back? And I was like, no, I don't. So from that point on, I basically started studying. I grew up in a very small community in upstate New York. And the only non-Christian thing I could find at that time was Anton LaVey's Bible, Satanic Bible, all that stuff. And I read it. I was like, okay, this is a different point of view. And I liked it. And then I moved down here to California at 16, where I was exposed in the Bay Area to more different religions, Wicca, Buddhism, Hinduism. And I started studying. And I studied. And I continued to study as I progressed through my pagan path. And I still study to this day, because I believe knowledge is power. I like going back to the old stuff. I've met a lot of goths on the way. They started studying Egyptology, looking at some of that stuff.
Wow.
And so just growth. And along that path, I discovered heroin, which became more important than any spiritual aspect. And so I started doing heroin, and I would practice here and there. And yeah.
So I know you're going because it's the compact version of what got you here today.
Right. Yeah. Very, very compact in time allowed. I mean, I could spend hours talking about what led me to where I am today and what I study now, what I practice now. It's just it all has led me to who I am today, though.
And who are you today? Now, I know that's a broad question, especially for someone like me that likes to go metaphysical and layer upon layer. But let's talk specifically your religious path right now, because you're very eclectic. You cover a lot of things. So you're like just Norse heathen or Wiccan or Druid or anything. How would you describe where you are?
Where I am spiritually, I consider myself a pagan. I come from Celt background, Scottish, Welsh, French. Those were all Celtic nations at one point in time. And so I kind of consider myself on a druidic path. But I've like I said, I've studied Wicca. The Law of Three, me and that didn't agree because sometimes you got to use some dark stuff. I'm just as comfortable doing light as I am dark. I've studied some of the darker aspects of paganism. I'm currently looking more into the Assyrian belief system right now and Goetic systems, just because what the Christians called demons were actually at one point in time gods in Babylon, Assyria, and I'm just curious on that and studying that a little bit.
So you've done, like, you're pretty well rounded on a lot of different, like the jack of all trades kind of.
Yeah.
Would you just, and you do tarot?
I do tarot,
and you mix some runes in there with as well. Like, well, it's probably not mixed together. I don't know if you do, but you have a way of doing things. You do runes and tarot and divination.
Yeah, I do. I'm still working on runes. I used them in the past and stepped away from them and got more focused on tarot. And then I stepped away from tarot for a bit just because some personal stuff that was going on, and I didn't have room for it, and I stepped away just because it kind of scared me for a minute. Some stuff that I'd seen in the cards and that was happening. I was just like, okay, I need to take a break for a second. But then as I started doing more personal shadow work, they've come back into my life.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And so for people that don't know, we met Chris at Krampus at Mystical Celtic when we had it was our first booth as a kindred. We met Chris there. Just like the bond was like instant, and Chris started coming to our get-togethers and stuff, and you've been really instrumental in like helping us with our setups and being involved and stuff. And I can't tell you how much like we appreciate that. And you're going to be even more involved coming up with some other stuff, and we'll get to that in a bit. But let's talk your path to recovery. So we've hit.
So in one question real quick, while we talked about the tarot, like how do you use tarot now that it's back into your life when it comes to recovery? What does that tool look like for that?
Tarot as it comes to recovery, well, my spiritual practice period is part of my recovery. Tarot just helps me. Tarot and the runes show me the path that I'm on if it's correct. I try not to get too in depth for me personally with my tarot. I tend to, for me personally, do just be broad because, like I said, I've seen some things in my tarot that was spot on and guided, and it was really spot on. So I just try to stay broad because personally I don't want to know too much about the road ahead. I just want to know if the path I'm on is correct. And so to answer that, I use it just to see if what I'm doing is the right way for me at this time.
I want to get into your like actual practice and stuff a bit later on. Maybe it'll be helpful for someone who's starting off or in recovery, that this is a tool that they can use. And we'll get into that also because you also offer tools for people in recovery as well. And we will get into that later on. But so we talked about your spiritual journey. Let's talk about your journey for recovery now. Now, trigger warning for people, for some people out there, this is mature content in the sense that it can trigger probably sensations of wanting certain things or whatever. So just be mindful when you're watching, um, when we start talking about the use of abuse of substances and such.
Well, addiction in general. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's more than just substance.
Yeah.
Somebody might be actively going through that struggle.
So, and I think that's going to be, when we get to that point, one of the things that sets our group apart a little bit more is that it's just about recovery in general. It's not specific to like chemical abuse or anything, but we will definitely get there. But yes, you're right. Addiction is a big umbrella. So when you think about, let's, I guess I'm going to go out of order a little bit. What first led you to seek out recovery spaces like AA? Because you had to have reached a point in your personal life where you were like, all right, I need help or something, right? And so you actively sought out AA, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So to bring us here, what got you to the point of, I need help?
All right. So I mentioned I moved out to California at 16. Prior to that, I was drinking in New York. I was smoking weed, doing acid, doing all that fun stuff, and moved out here to California and lived in Richmond, California. Ended up on the streets of San Francisco. San Francisco's come fucks. But ended up on the streets and selling drugs. Ended up doing meth. And that was like a daily thing for me, shooting meth. Ended up at 18 discovering heroin, and I was like, oh, this is where it's at. This is my life right now. And being a street kid, it just fit in. And then I ended up going to prison, getting out of prison, went right back to the heroin and drinking and partying, and went back to prison, got out, went right back to the same lifestyle. And while I was in prison doing the same lifestyle, and I was always like, I'm just getting a bad shake at life. I keep getting caught for this stupid shit, blah, blah, blah. And it was everything but the drugs and the alcohol, because I didn't want to let that go. Mm-hmm. And then after 18 years in prison, I was like, something needs to change. What is the one thing that hasn't changed in this 18 years? The fact that I was shooting heroin and drinking on a regular basis. And so when I got to the point where I wanted to change. I didn't want to be in prison anymore. Didn't want to be one of those 50-year-old guys in prison still acting like I'm 20. So I ended up in a recovery house here in Sacramento and started going to AA meetings, and have a clean date of December 6th, 2014.
Wow.
Yay!
12 years this year.
Yeah, so that is amazing. That's a lot.
Yeah,
and I know that's the clean version.
It is.
Right.
Yeah, it's
It's the clean of getting clean version.
Yeah, it's the clean version of trying to keep things smooth and going. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff along the way.
Yeah. So my dog is outside, and you probably guys can hear her. So she wants to be in on the podcast, but we're saying no, Kokona, no.
Thanks, Rocco. So when you went to AA, right? Like, what parts or aspects of AA genuinely helped you? Like, what do you think or feel made the most difference for you?
Having a community around me. Obviously, I'm a pagan, and a lot of the steps say God, higher power, blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of people in AA that are very Christian. And there's a lot of people in AA that have turned AA into their religion. And those aspects turned me away. But the fact that seeing people had recovered, and I had met some decent people along the way that showed me different aspects of things and got me thinking different, because it was what originally got me into getting sober was I met a Native American who was sober, and he talked to me a lot. Me and him talked quite a bit, and it's what got me into the path of recovery. But there was aspects of AA I didn't like. There was aspects that did help me, but I think the biggest was the community, knowing that other people felt this exact way, because all my life those little tiny thoughts in the back of my head, I wasn't the only one that had them.
Mm-hmm.
So it made you feel like less alone and weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you talk about community, I think in the pagan world, like we hear people often talk about community, but they never talk about what that actually is and what it looks like. Like, is it spending time with people? Is it having somebody to call in the middle of the night? Like, what?
It's all of that. It's the spending time with people, getting to know people, people that share some of the same qualities as you, some of the same. For recovery, it was, we're all addicts. We're all drunks. We're all addicts. Okay. There was a large majority of people in there I would not spend time with outside of recovery. But one of my best friends that I am friends with actually still, that I met him through recovery, and we share a lot in common. So.
Mm-hmm. So when you think about your recovery journey and your everything, you're looking back on it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I'm going to impart some wisdom on someone who's like saying, I need help. Like they've reached this point with their life where they're saying, I need help. What is the most important for you to tell someone like this about your recovery journey and stuff? What would you tell someone that's just coming to the table now saying, I need help?
You're not alone, and there's no judgment. I mean, everybody goes through stuff. A large majority of society is addicted to something, whether it be sex, gambling, porn, video games, their phones. You're not alone. It doesn't matter what you're addicted to, because addiction is addiction. If it's ruining if you feel your quality of life is not where it should be, then reach out to someone. Just say, hey, I'm having issues. This is what's going on. Mm-hmm. But you've got to be willing to be true to yourself first and foremost. I mean, if you can't say, hey, I could have a better quality of life, but this, whatever it may be, is blocking me from having a better quality of life, then talk to someone, find someone that has been there or is,
mm-hmm. So there were obviously things in AA that worked for you, that you liked, but there were also things that were not. And so so when did you decide AA was like you stopped? How many tries did you give it before you stopped?
I did AA pretty much straight through until the birth of my son. Mm-hmm. And at the time I had an adopted dog, a Dogo Argentino. If you don't know what that is, they are a pit bull mixed with a Great Dane mixed with a fighting dog. So they're really big dogs. And
that's my nickname.
Oh, fighting dog.
Big dog.
Oh.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm kidding. But, yeah.
Again, folks, I'm heavily medicated on this episode of Addiction and Recovery.
Okay, but you're not highly medicated because of addiction. You are in extreme pain.
I am in a lot of pain
and
constantly.
this is going to be part of the conversation later.
Yes.
There is a difference.
There is.
Yes,
so,
there is
no
a difference.
No more beating yourself up.
I know. I just my mind will go.
Okay.
Anyway.
Son was born.
Yeah, my son was born, and my dog at the time, he was very aggressive towards strangers. When I went to meet this dog, he was 3 years old, and he went straight for my throat, and I was like, okay, this is the dog for me, because he had a lot of fear-based aggression, and I understood that. I lived most of my life with that, and so I took him home, and he was a great dog. Oh, people in AA, I used to do like AA book clubs at my house, and one day we did that, and my dog pinned every single person in their chairs. No one could move because that dog was not going to let it happen. So I'd put the dog up, and we stopped doing the book clubs, and I'd invite people over here and there, but the dog did not like strangers. And so someone I have no clue to this day because no one would admit to it, be straight up and tell me. But someone thought they knew better than me and decided to call CPS.
Oh,
Yeah. CPS came over. I took that dog for a 3-mile walk, and he was the most well-behaved dog when CPS showed up.
Oh my
And
gosh.
the funny thing is, the day CPS came over, I had just started working for a company as a recovery counselor that works with CPS.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So CPS came over and said, "Oh, the dog's fine." And just so you know, when that dog passed away, his last act was to say goodbye to my son. I found the dog on the ground in my bathroom. I got him up. He went to my son's bed, nudged him awake, and just nudged him a little bit, and then collapsed and never got back up. So, yeah,
oh my
that's
gosh.
but when that happened, because there are aspects of AA, and I stepped away from AA at that point.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because then you would have become the dog.
possibly. Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Just
Yeah.
saying, when somebody calls CPS on our babies and we're doing the best thing, those are fighting words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew my dog. I mean, I had pictures of my dog wrapped around my kid as my kid's playing with toys and opening Christmas presents. I knew that dog was. That's one thing I know. I know dogs. People sometimes I don't know too well,
Yeah.
but dogs I know.
Yeah. I was worried my big dog is just goofy, but she's very like energetic
Yeah.
at first, and she can knock people over. So I'm always like, oh, please,
She's
just
very affectionate.
yeah.
Yeah.
But she's good.
Yeah, I now have a new dogo that I got as a puppy, and Dogo Argentinos are Tyrannosaurus Rexes from about 3 months to 4 years. And and he's not the smartest dog in the world. So he nips, and he's nipped my son a couple times. Nothing serious, but that's how he wants to play and needs attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the kings and healers. You know, they nip at you.
Yeah.
That's how they heard.
I love the breed though.
I know. Like I had a peekaboo like in some formidable years of my life,
Yeah.
and I've always wanted another one, but it just hasn't worked out. So smart little dogs. For the record, just a thing.
So after you left AA, after that crazy ass situation, were you able to find a way to translate the AA structure into something that worked for you for your own spiritual beliefs?
Yes, I was. I did that very much so, because in AA they have this term "dry drunk." Oh, if you don't come to meetings, you're going to become a dry drunk.
Oh.
Yeah,
You're always an addict.
Yeah, you're-
It's like
Yeah.
yeah. But one of the key concepts of AA, those 12 steps, they're a cornerstone of every religion in the world. Doesn't matter what it is. They're a cornerstone of Buddhism. They're a cornerstone of Islam. They're a cornerstone of Hinduism. They're a cornerstone of everything. And it's just basically taking responsibility. And in working the steps, and I worked them a couple times with different sponsors, and they taught me different aspects of it, which I highly appreciate. And one time I was going through the second step, which is the insanity step, and one of my sponsors was like, "Hey, it's not just the alcohol that makes me insane. It's not just the heroin that makes me insane, because all that stuff comes out in different forms, and it's monitoring those different forms that insanity comes out." I'm feeling bad and depressed. Guess what I do nowadays? I go shopping. I spend money I don't have, things I really don't need, but it's still, that's the insanity. That's that addiction coming out.
Hold on 1 second while I send you my Amazon wish list. I get
No, I shop for me. It makes me feel better. And buy things for myself I don't need.
We have a listener. Her name is Elizabeth. She said, "I love this topic. As a non-Christian, navigating recovery with religious programs everywhere." So I told her, I said, it is definitely a topic that needs to be more openly discussed. We all have the right to feel loved and supported.
which will bring us to our thing in a bit here. But our what we're going to be starting, what you're going to be heading up, really, and we will get into that. So I think this is a good thing, especially in Northern California.
Yeah.
But while we're kind of on the subject of it, you're talking about the things that you did, like what worked for you. When we talk about the higher power portion of this, how do you translate this into like a pagan and kind of aspect now? Because this is my thing, and I'm not bashing any religions here, but the Abrahamic faiths are more do this and you will be forgiven, and it seems to contradict some of the whole AA thing in the sense that AA sounds almost more heathen, where you have to accept responsibility for your actions.
Yeah.
But the religion that's practiced kind of contradicts that, where you can easily say, I ask for forgiveness, I'm good, or whatever, instead of being accountable for your actions.
Right.
And it sounds like AA is like be accountable kind of a thing. And that's a very heathen experience as well. So how did you make you left AA, you're like disenfranchised with having, so now you have to make something that works for you in a heathen lens. What is your higher power in this heathen thing?
So, first and foremost, my gods don't ask me to serve them. I see my gods, we are equals. They want me to succeed. They don't ask me to bow down, and they sure as hell don't forgive me if I fuck up. If I make my choices, consequences appear. Those are my choices. And the one thing I always found funny about AA is one of their key phrases is "to thy own self be true." And there are some darker ass religions out there that is their truth. They're saying "to thine own self be true." If I can't be true to myself, then who am I? And that's a key aspect of recovery. But at the end of the day, I can't get down on my knees and go, Jesus, I fucked up. Can you forgive me? And be forgiven. I have to step up and take responsibility for those actions, which AA does with one of their steps, where you make an amends. But you have to make amends to yourself. It's not God. God's not going to come down and be like, "Oh, you did this good stuff. Here you go." And
I'm sorry, but before the thought leaves my head, that the whole thing of, but validation is needed. Like people need that validation, especially when you're coming from this like real broken part of your life. And you're right. There's not some shining light in the living room is not going to come and burn your eyes out and be like, "You have done well, my child." So you have to work. That's the community. That's the building. That's the people that you surround yourself with.
Right. Well, because like I grew up Christian, and I always struggled with the whole like just ask for forgiveness and you'll be forgiven. It's like, but if you do something wrong, you ask for forgiveness, and then 3 weeks later you do the exact same thing again. Are you really apologizing and learning anything from that? Because it's not a change in behavior. If you're just like, I'm just going to keep doing this thing and just ask for forgiveness and I'm all good, and it's like there's no accountability.
Well, that's the thing about making amends is you're not asking for forgiveness. When I did make my amends to people, I was like, look, I'm not going to ask for forgiveness because my whole life I've been, hey, I'm sorry, I fucked up, and then doing the same thing.
Yeah.
When asking for amends, you're going and you're like, hey, I'm trying to change my life. I'm trying to change the behaviors of who I was. I would like it if you supported me through this. If not, that's okay too. Because who knows, I may go right back tomorrow to shooting heroin and being the dick I used to be. And that's the thing about recovery is there's no judgment. There shouldn't be judgment, actually. It's a hard thing because when you're dealing with recovery, you're sitting with emotions that you've never dealt with. Most of us, when we get into whatever we're addicted to, we're trying to run from something. We're running from trauma from our past. We're running from fear. We're running from
Mhm.
anger. We're running from feelings of worthlessness. All these things we're running from, and now we have to deal with them and feel them and accept them. And
That's
I always tell people, like, if you can't sit in silence with yourself, you need to do some looking.
mhm.
Because even if it's not uh, drugs or alcohol, if you're constantly having to distract yourself from being alone with your thoughts, you need to do some reflection there, because there's something you're trying to numb yourself, distract yourself from.
okay. I don't like where this is going. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm saying.
I'm kidding.
And I don't know, like for me, my point of view changed when I was like, okay, if I look at my kid as the higher power, right?
Mhm.
How will I feel in my 70s having to answer to her for the bad choices I made?
Yeah.
What if she goes down this path? Like, I couldn't do that to her,
Yeah.
right? So she would, when you become parents, like, the game changes. It
Mhm.
should.
It's not
Right.
just you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't. Like, look at some of our childhoods, right?
Yeah.
But that's where, like, the cycle has to be broken.
Mhm.
Breaking that cycle's hard.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, people don't have to be crazy out of control to reach a point where they need that help. Like, I know, I know in my life there were several points where I probably needed, and I did not. Actually, when I first met John, I was kind of on the end of this whole thing that I was doing. I was still not well when I first met John, and we became friends. But I did it. I did try AA a few times. I got to tell you, I always felt unwelcome there.
Yeah.
Like I was a stranger there, and like no one welcomed me. And then I realized, like, if this is happening every single time, maybe it's me. Like, maybe I was just giving off this energy, like, leave me the fuck alone, and I'm in there and I'm sitting there pouting and whatever, and so I'm going to these things. I probably wasn't ready for it, but I'm thinking, hey, I'm doing this because whatever. But there's a real point where people have to, like, take that hard look in the mirror.
Because I've been to a couple of the NA meetings, and again, it's just like I didn't feel like I belonged, because they're talking about the higher power, but a lot of it has the Abrahamic, it's come to Jesus, higher power, and it's like that never resonates with me.
Mhm.
And I always, was it the second step, where it's like you have to admit that you have no control over your life and you're powerless, and it's like, I know that addiction for me is like, I know addiction and like the chaos that we can create can feel that we are, it can get to a point where we are powerless, but we kind of drove the car onto that powerless road. That at
Yeah.
some point we allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
And that's just me. And so it's like, that was always the one step that I'm like, I can't get past the second step. So I'm not sure if this is for me, because I own and acknowledge that the like 95% of the bullshit in my life and the problems are self-created, and I had to accept that and own up to that, and then figure a way to fix that. And because that was always my struggle with it.
So is that, like, how would you reframe something like that in a pagan lens?
Pagan lens. Well, so first step is admitted we were powerless over drugs and alcohol, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and that our lives become unmanageable. If, in a magical sense, our lives become unmanageable when we start using. We
Yeah.
do, when we go on that path. We weaken ourselves. We make these choices that lead us there, but then we continue going and going. And is it the substance that's made us powerless? No, it's a choice we made to run from ourselves, but it's ourselves that made us powerless. We're running from who we are. We're running from feelings. We're running from all those things that we can't deal with. There are countries in this world where they sell alcohol to people that barely make enough money to live in that country, and yet they can go buy a beer. Why? Because if we are loaded, we don't have to deal with the fact that, oh, I have no food in my fridge. Oh, I have no roof over my head.
Mhm.
And that's a powerlessness that isn't self-made, but it's our choices that lead to those, you
Mhm.
know.
So, like, what would you say to somebody who becomes like a functioning alcoholic, right? Like, in their mind, they're still going to work, they're still paying their bills.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to them, they're not in this powerless world,
But they can't deal with themselves. They're still running from themselves. They still are hiding who they are. They cannot deal with the emotions. So it's more of a powerlessness over our emotions,
Mhm.
our past, our trauma, which leads to the emotions we feel today. And it's learning to take control of yourself, doing shadow work. And I'm a big proponent of shadow work. I love shadow work. If you've done steps, if you've been part of the program and you haven't actually done decent shadow work, I highly recommend it. And that takes you deeper than making the amends, taking a personal inventory. Doing the shadow work actually looks at you and makes you really dig into who you are.
So let's go ahead and transition then into like the tools for recovery, because obviously you can get to a point where you need help, but if that structure and the tools are not there, or the proper guidance or something, especially someone that's broken and needs help, like, they aren't there to put a system together. They need something that's in place. So our kindred, with your kindred, is actually going to be starting a recovery group that is geared towards pagans and heathens. And Chris will be heading and charging this. Um, it has a name that I have already not remembered because because of such things that I cannot remember. We just finalized the name today, and that is why I cannot remember this
so it's
name.
Arcane Awakening Path to Recovery.
Arcane Awakening Path to Recovery. So that is going to be the Igbadir Recovery Group. Anyone in Northern California
Or
is,
because it's going to be online.
and it's going to be online as well.
So we are opening it up to nationwide.
Yeah.
Even other countries. If we have people that need help, we want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, the goal is to kind of gauge. I think we talked about like the first year, seeing what it would look like in person, but we still always want to have an online outlet for people because it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk tools, because you, on top of this, not only doing the recovery group for the kindred, but you yourself are spearheading your own venture for guided meditations, and mushrooms, I know, are one of the tools that you use. um, so how do we get to let's talk about the mushrooms really quick. How do we get to a point of someone that has like, I cannot do anything at all, to be able to say, okay, psilocybin is a useful tool for me in my recovery?
So I did not pick up psilocybin until 10 years sober. And I did a lot of research, with that THC, everything. I started using THC, and it was so infrequently and not even funny. Um, but I was using it because I had some personal stuff going on in my life, and I needed to be able to kind of focus myself.
Mhm.
I had things that I was very angry about, And some of that anger was being directed towards my son. And I'm having to apologize to him constantly, like, hey, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at this situation and this situation. Please understand this. I'm not mad at you. And if I start getting, if I'm angry, it's okay to check me and be like, hey, Dad, are you mad at me or this situation? So I started doing the research. As many people probably heard the term California sober. I became California sober, but I have a lot of underlying issues, anxiety, PTSD, and seeing the studies that were going on with PTSD and psilocybin and ketamine and the different substances, I chose to try to microdose with the psilocybin, and it helped me. I do have really bad road rage, and when I microdose, I can microdose one day, and for 3-4 days straight, I'm not getting mad on the road. I'm like, whatever. You need to get ahead of me? All right. I was able to put myself in other people's shoes for a while doing it and getting out of my own stuff. Because like I said, I have pretty bad PTSD. I've been through some shit in life. And so I started using the psilocybin, and it's a natural thing that also coincides with my spiritual beliefs and practices. Shamans, druids, whatever you want to call the religious leaders, have used them for years to get more in contact with their spiritual side, and it helps me. It did help me. It does help me, And so with using psilocybin in guided meditations, and you can face some of the trauma that sometimes you can't face, that you're afraid to face, that you up through it.
I'm a big proponent of psilocybin. I myself use it. I used to be on anti-anxiety meds, antidepressants, and I switched to microdosing every 3 days, and I've been able to get off all of that. Again, this is psilocybin aligns with my faith too as a North heathen. I do a lot of my shadow work on it. It zeroes out the ego, and it I just feel like it connects, makes you see things in a different way, and our connection to each other. At the same time, though, this is something where you would have to be like you've took your time to get there. You don't want to replace one thing with another, and I think. But for anyone recovering, if you're going to be considering something like this, get some guided help.
Yes.
Do not do it alone.
Yeah.
Or just don't do it at all for a while, and then work to a point where you've done enough inner work where you think you can get to that.
Yeah, and it took a lot of personal healing. I mean, it's very easy as an addict to, oh, this feels good. I don't have to deal with my feelings. I don't have to deal with my thoughts, and keep doing it every day. And that, like I said, I microdose once every 3 to 4 days, and I might macrodose once a month, twice a month. And that mostly that's for me in my meditations, my practices, my trying to get more connected to a spiritual. I actually,
we're on the same cycle.
Yeah. Well, I actually
the Scylla cycle.
Yeah.
I do about this.
You guys' cycle synced up because you're been around each other for long enough.
It's the moon.
I know, yeah, because I microdose about the same amount of time, and I macrodose the same as well. So,
and just for the listeners, right? You're not just oh, I'm gonna do a microdose and then you go play video games, right?
No.
What are you doing when you're doing the microdose? What does that look like in your day?
I might microdose and go to work that day and work that day. I need to do the microdose, and I don't need to. I do it because it calms some of that stuff that's inside me. Because yes, I do have rage. I do have anger. And it calms that. It calms the anxiety. It calms the anxiety that I feel. Being around people, I get anxious from my PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And so it calms that and makes it, because for a job, I am a supervisor around a bunch of different men who have
Mm-hmm.
walked many different paths, and it just helps keep me regulated. I'll go to work, but I'll microdose and meditate too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'll spend time
Right.
working on me, thinking about things I need to work on, planning out the week of how I can be a better person this week. Because sometimes I'm short with my son, sometimes I'm short with myself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and this helps me. Like you said, it takes away that ego, and that's, as far as I'm concerned, if you really look deep at every religion, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
So, like when you microdose, do you ever find it like easier to do basic coping skills?
Yes.
Because I have anxiety, right? And so like I know like if I don't take my anxiety depression meds, I cannot control the racing thoughts. I've like bit my lip to where like there's blood running down my face. So, what kind of like coping strategies are you able to use when you're microdosing?
When I'm microdosing, it's those racing thoughts are not there. I
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to focus. Like I said, driving to work, my mind's all over the place. Like, oh, I got to do this. Oh, I don't have enough money to do this. I'm gonna have all these thoughts. But when I'm microdose, I can, all right, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. I don't need to worry about this because tomorrow's not guaranteed. It keeps me in the present, and that's why it's called the present, is because it's a gift. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
I'd like to really touch on some of this because I think there's some misconceptions about just how potent psilocybin is and what a microdose is. So like for me, I do like 0.25 milligrams every 3 days or every 3 days. And that is enough. Like you're not going to get visuals. It's a good emotional lift for a few days. And again, this is like you said, I that was one thing I noticed. Like your mind is everywhere doing all these things. But psilocybin really brings you to the present moment, and so you start being present. And I think that's why, like for my meditations, it is so good. I have such a hard time centering myself. I work with a quantum healer, Jamie Schaefer. Hey, Jamie. Um, and he's really taught me a lot. Like of acknowledging things as such, and I incorporate psilocybin into this, and it's really made me be able just to be present and forming like those connections when you're present is so important. I'm all about the like mycelium network and connecting and things. So
Okay, two things.
uh-huh.
Is first, there's actually been like last 2 decades research in the use of that in like working with anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
post-traumatic, how doing microdoses can actually rewire a patient's short-term, do like short-term rewiring
Mm-hmm.
of where they don't have to be on the anxiety meds and the other stuff. But a lot of this is in Europe where they're allowed to do the research.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of proponents, a lot of information showing the benefits of this
It does
Mm-hmm.
for mental health and helping, just helping people cope with like the bullshit that fucking life throws at us, because it does.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't want it to sound like I'm like crapping on like recovery programs and stuff like that. I've known people who have like they've lost their battle with addiction. I grew up in a neighborhood where like crack was running rampant, and my neighbor was a crack dealer, and there was a crack house next, across the street. And I watched like kids who are my age just get gobbled up and overdose, or just that shit just destroy their lives. I think because I was exposed, I witnessed that. That's what, when I was on those paths, why I didn't go as far, because I had those like cautionary tales. I witnessed it every day. Because there are people who have a lot of like these programs, it will help them. doing what you guys do will help them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, there is no one right way or wrong way to do it. It's finding what's going to work for you and embracing that and following that. That's the one thing I don't like about a lot of these recovery programs is they're like, this is the only way. No, it's not, because you're going to turn someone off as soon as you say, oh, this is the only way, and they try it and it doesn't work for them. Oh, well, then I'm hopeless.
Yeah.
And you've just killed someone possibly.
Yeah.
There's many ways, and it's finding what works for you. It's being able to take something that has worked for someone else and work it into your life to where it fits your life and works for you. That's what I had to do with AA. That's what I had to do with different recovery programs, is make it fit for me. When I first got sober, they were trying to do like an atheist program here in Sacramento area, which I was all for. Okay, you're not throwing God in my face. And I think that program lasted a month or two. One, it was like at midnight on a Wednesday night, so no one showed up.
It's for only night shift people.
Yeah. And so it just didn't take off because, no one's interested in it. See, well, maybe if you made it during a normal time.
Yeah, accessible
to people. I mean, yeah, I get it. Most of us pagans and atheists, we like that nighttime, but hey, we also have to work the next day.
Yeah.
Like, can you do it like maybe at like 8:00 at night?
Yeah. But that's when the normal AA.
So I have a question. Where was it at? Like, because a lot of there's where we live, there's a church that facilitates a like Thursday night recovery meeting. I'm like, how would the atheists, were they going to like a coffee shop or where?
So, and any of you in the Sacramento area who are in recovery know where Group 1 is. Group 1 has a little tiny building downtown Sacramento, right off T Street.
Okay.
So it was there, but yeah.
My brother was in. It was a skeptical thinking group, which is like a bunch of like atheists. I always found it funny is they would have their monthly meeting at a bar.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Seems legit.
I'm like, I would go and I would just basically be the designated driver. I'm like,
So, and now we've talked about psilocybin. So other tools that are pagan that could possibly help. A few things. I don't know what you've done, but like, what about cord cutting or literature, nature connection? Are any of those things?
Those are very big for me, is the nature connection. I try to be out in nature as much as I can be. I personally just went through some back stuff and just had surgery from March of last year until January of this year. I was having major back stuff going on, and I just forced them to do surgery in January, and a million times better. So since then, I've gone out to Calistoga to the geysers and the petrified forest with my kid. I like being outside. That is touching for me. Even when I had back stuff, I tried to take them up to Mount, that volcano, up the way there.
Lassen?
Yeah, Mount Lassen.
Oh,
and I was
pretty area up there.
I'm so glad he fell down and was miserable, and a bee chased him, and so he was miserable because there was still snow. And I'm so glad, because if I'd kept going, I probably would have collapsed on that up there somewhere and not been able to get back. But being outside is important for me. Meditation has always been a big part of my program, and if I don't care what religion you are, if you believe in something higher than you, or that there's something out there and you pray to it, there's prayer asking for stuff, but you can't get an answer without meditation. I'm a big proponent of meditation. I've meditated quite frequently throughout my life, so that's an important tool in my opinion. If you're afraid to go to classes or go to an AA meeting or reach out to people, but you're still struggling and you want to find something, I can't think of the author's name, but he has a book on shadow magic,
Okay.
and go through that. Use that book if you need to. If you're afraid to say, "Hey, I'm having this issues," or "I'm having these issues," then try just doing it. Usually, it's not very successful by yourself, but you can try it. It'll get you some of the tools you need. Um, you could be successful by yourself. Who knows? If you're willing to do the work. But for me, I do believe in magic. I do believe in those energies of doing different things. And if I'm addicted to something, I'm sure as hell not going to be able to make the intentions I want come to fruition, because the addiction's going to have that little spot in me. Yes, yep, that's it.
Do you think some of those, because there's a lot of like shadow work journals that are out that have like the prompts and stuff like that, do you think that might be like starting points?
That's a good starting point.
Okay.
Because with shadow magic, you are working on, it's looking at those negative things in yourself. It's looking at the fear, the trauma. It's looking at that stuff and trying to help you cope with it and express it.
And you offer guided meditations, even like with psilocybin as well. And these are, again, our additional tools. I have Chris's email up on here if you guys are interested in getting in contact with him about maybe scheduling something with him if you have questions or you're interested or anything. And that doesn't necessarily have to be recovery focused, but it can be as well. All right. You can tailor that to someone in recovery as well. So let's talk about so we talked a little bit about the tools. So, and obviously you're like, okay, this has to be like an adaptable program, because it's one size doesn't fit all.
No, it doesn't.
So when someone coming in and they're looking at to the Igladir kindred recovery group, they're coming in for the first time. What, in your vision of the group, what should they expect?
To be greeted and welcomed with love, kindness, and understanding. That's the main thing. Like you said, you went to meetings and you felt like you weren't welcome. To feel like you're part of a family, to feel that you are cared for, that you are there for the same reason everybody else is there. We need help. And sometimes you just need help in life, whether you have addictions or not. It's just being able to express what's going on in your head and get it focused, and having people listen and not judge you. If I go to if I went to it, I had a sponsor who was a very hardcore Christian, and when I tried to explain to him, I don't really believe in your God, he kind of seemed a little offended. Was like, "Oh, but God believes in you." Well, does he? I mean,
well, lucky for him.
Yeah.
Gosh, he's a lucky God.
Yeah, but there's different ways. You could call upon Thor. You could call upon Serwin.
Yeah.
I could call upon Asmodeus. It doesn't matter who we're calling upon. We are united in the fact that we struggle with issues. Life is a struggle, especially nowadays. I mean, shit, gas is $6 here in Sacramento. I heard in LA it's over $8. So,
my goodness.
Yeah, there's a lot of struggles with what's going on in society, what's going on in the world. And sometimes we just want to run. We have that fear, we have that anxiety of what's tomorrow gonna bring. We got this war going on in Iran. Are they gonna shoot drones at us? I mean, there's all this anxiety, and we want to run, or we need someplace safe to talk and just be heard. And that's the main thing, is just being heard.
Though I would suggest not calling on a chaos god.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're currently struggling with addiction, because that might be counterproductive.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, be mindful of the deities
Cthulhu
you call upon.
May not be the best one.
Loki, probably not. Yeah. I love Loki to pieces, but probably
like
not.
I totally like Freyja,
Oh yeah,
Frigga, I could see
absolutely.
her.
That
'Cause, like, that
motherly
mother,
love.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
uh,
Air,
Tear,
yeah,
tear.
tear,
courage, justice.
I think Hother as well. Being blind,
yeah,
like that's I use Hother and Hell for me are two gods and goddesses that I use for my shadow work. I do the darkness, the stillness. The Hell offers this truth that you just cannot ignore. This mirror to your face kind of a thing, you know.
Well, and speaking of truth, like I think that's the other part too of what we're trying to build is like, yes, we won't pass judgment and we'll be there, but we're also not going to fucking coddle you. Like, we're
Right,
going to help
right.
you call you out on your own bullshit because sometimes we need that person to be
Mhm.
like, dude, like you need to check yourself. You're making
Yeah,
bullshit excuses.
because like
yeah.
the gods and goddesses, they're not going to pick you up and carry you. They're going to meet you halfway.
Right.
You got to put in some work.
I always like to think that they don't walk behind you; they walk beside you. So
Yeah,
if you're not walking,
yeah,
you're getting left behind.
yeah.
You know, like you're yeah. I like to think the ancestors walk behind you. You got your ancestors behind you, and the gods walk beside you. You know that kind of a deal keeps me going. Um. Okay. I totally just
You're at number 14.
so if someone is struggling listening is struggling but they are hesitant to step into recovery, what would you say to them?
You're not alone, and it'll be all right. Tomorrow will be a better day, and all we have to do is make it through right now. You know, I was recently reading an article about I want to say she's in Florida. She's a tattoo artist, and a woman came into her and asked for a tattoo, and it was days, and she did the tattoo, and the lady explained to her, "That's how long my daughter was sober before she died."
Mhm.
And it became a thing where this lady was started doing tattoos for free for anyone who was recovering or knew someone who was recovering, and it was just the number of days before that or hours or minutes that the person had sober before the loved one passed. Every moment counts, you know. It, I have right this second sober. Well, unless you consider psilocybin, because yes, I do microdose because it's anxiety.
Yeah.
But every moment counts. You
Mm.
know, it doesn't matter if you just make it 1 minute. That minute counts. You know, and it means you can make 2 minutes eventually, or because you made that 1 minute, someone else can see they made a minute, so I think I can make 2 minutes. You
Mm.
know, don't worry about I have to have 10 years or I have to have 1 year or oh I get this chip at 1 year or whatever it is. No, you have this moment and that's all you have.
Well, and I want to touch on something real quick because we talked about the using psilocybin. I always butcher the name, but we also like I've met people who are in recovery who they won't take an aspirin or Tylenol or ibuprofen because it's a painkiller and it's a drug and it's like, but you're sick, you're hurting,
Mhm.
you need, there is, just because you're in recovery, if you need to be on antibiotics, be on antibiotics. If you have like a massive injury where you're in chronic pain, you can take medication to lower that. Just like talk to your doctor, your healthcare provider about like, hey, I do have substance abuse issues or that. So can we find something or can we monitor? And if you are working with, if you are in recovery, and you have to be on this medication, let the people around you know so they can keep an eye on it. But don't deny yourself what you need to heal just because of your fear of relapsing.
Well, and that's what we were talking about in the beginning, right? Is that it's not just substance.
Yeah.
It's not just booze. Like, there are people who have an addiction to, oh my god, I'm having a brain fart on the
There's like
fucking word.
porn addiction,
No,
and
like-
Electronics.
Like, you're
Yeah.
jumping off of cliffs. Like,
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline
So it's the
junkies.
adrenaline rush, right?
Yeah.
Like, and people don't think about that. Or you go into, like, these stupid spending budgets where you almost lose your fucking house. Like,
Mhm.
And that's the thing. All those things trigger the same things the same chemicals in our brain.
Yeah.
It's all dopamine.
right.
It's chasing dopamine. So when you're doing all that stuff, actually, you're a dopamine addict. You're trying to.
And you can't quit having dopamine.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, and
But other things that can, like exercising can also release dopamine.
yes, it can. But you can also become addicted to exercising, where you're spending every moment you can in the gym.
You can be
Yeah.
addicted to everything.
Yes.
That's why just be careful.
but, like, to have the
Moderation.
endorphins is going out and volunteering,
Mm.
right? Helping somebody in need. It's creating a recovery group.
Mm.
Mhm.
It's creating a kindred. Like, it doesn't have to be an addiction, but we can still create that same happy feeling.
Yes. Okay.
And it's part of the pagan path
Yeah.
that you don't learn about in traditional AA meetings.
Yeah. It's what paganism is family. It is a religion of family. Kindred is family. Yule is family. Samhain is celebrating family and celebrating the family that's passed. That's what the communities are.
Well, and, like one of the things I remember hearing growing up, and it is true, and it is you can find yourself in the service of others, helping other people, doing things for other people. You can actually find yourself and heal yourself.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, Mac, as somebody who has struggled with addiction, if somebody listening is struggling and hesitant to step into recovery, what would you say to them?
I this is something I've really been struggling with myself as a message for myself. I will beat it into people and tell them how much they matter. Like, you matter. You absolutely matter. It makes a difference to other people, whether you are here or not. It makes a difference to other people if you are well or not. It's not just about one person, and it's like I will beat this message into people, and I can't believe I get frustrated when people are thinking like, why don't they believe that they matter? And then I turn around and I'm like, well, I can't say that about myself. I have a really hard time saying I matter. So why would
You
a person, but why would a person who's broken believe someone else, And so my thing is someone that's coming in, I want them to know, like, I struggle too. I don't feel like I matter a lot of times. I feel inconvenient for taking up space, but you're here. We're broken together. Let's work this out.
So,
Let's work it out.
and something that people don't realize
Mm-hmm.
is that people can actually become addicted to negative thoughts and emotions.
Mhm.
The brain becomes accustomed to the chemical rush of stress hormones like cortisol, producing fear, anger, and sadness. So people actually can be addicted to the chemical craving, familiarity, and comfort because change is just fucking terrifying, and then they're afraid to fail. It's the validation of pain, so it's people saying it's okay that you're hurting, like you're getting that more attention. So addiction is so much more than what people realize.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
I had a conversation with my father about how he doesn't want to go to therapy because he doesn't have like the traditional addiction. He said he used to be an alcoholic when he was in the Air Force, but he didn't want to get better and to be happy because he wouldn't know what to do.
Mm.
It's, in a sense, he is addicted to that feeling of stress and sadness and depression.
Well, and with your father, think about it,
Yeah.
right? Like, how many people come rushing to his aid and say, "Oh, poor Bob, let's help Bob." Like,
Yeah.
he's 81 years old and he's
Mhm.
like a 4-year-old fucking toddler because
Yeah.
he's become so addicted to the attention and the help from others.
Yeah.
Also,
And he's Mormon.
Yeah.
Let's not out there.
I'm Gen X.
Me-
I'm proud Gen Xer.
Me too.
Woo!
Yeah.
But when we grew up, my son's diagnosed autistic. He's not on the high end of the spectrum, but he's diagnosed autistic. And when he was doing his autistic diagnosis thing, the doctor's asking me questions. And I had to stop the doctor halfway through. I was like, look, I don't know if I'm putting myself on my son because I can answer affirmative and answer this way for all these questions you're asking too. And growing up, they did not have those autism diagnoses. Those all the diagnosis science, and this just 30, 40 years ago
Mhm.
was not as evolved as it is today. You know, and
It's been around forever.
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But those little things actually matter. You know,
Mhm.
you'll see.
There's a lot more of us kids that are on that spectrum that are now adults in our 40s and 50s and 60s, that because there wasn't the research.
Right.
Yeah.
And how many of us turn to substances for that self-medication
Mhm.
reasons because we obsessed over everything.
Well, we had it beaten out of us. It was still there. We just
Yeah.
learned how to mask it really well because otherwise you get hit.
Yeah.
So, and then, like, when we think about addiction, right? Like, for women, like, it was so hard to get people to understand that Annabelle was on the spectrum, our daughter, right? And it's because for females, like, we get told, oh, she just likes shiny things because she's a girl,
Mhm.
or she only likes certain fabrics because, you know, it's that girly princess
She's
bullshit.
shy.
But when you think about it, and science has backed it up, is that people who are autistic or any spectrum of autism, so this is from ADHD to whatever, right? They have a higher risk of becoming an addict than anyone else. And it's because they use it as a coping mechanism for overstimulation. They use it because they've been made to feel less than. Women who are autistic, like your niece, who is not diagnosed, but I swear on everything, every god and goddess that poor girl is autistic. She is addicted to not only drugs, but selling her body because she just wants to be loved.
Yeah, she has. And on top of that, she has a lot of unprocessed trauma.
Mm-hmm. And it's a form of masking.
Yeah.
It is.
Numbs you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what most of our addiction is masking what's really going on.
Trying to numb that pain in our core. That just is, it's there. I mean, my addictions that I've struggled with aren't necessarily like people are like, well, that's not addiction. I'm like, well, I like to overeat, but you're not really fat. I'm like, yeah, but I can totally destroy a box of donuts, and I'm a type 2 diabetic, so that's self-destructive tendencies right there.
Yeah.
Did somebody say donuts?
I know. I love donuts. Give me some donuts.
Donuts. Do we have donuts?
We can make this happen. I know of 24-hour donut shop.
Donut happen.
Time to make the
But
donuts.
Where
Gen X.
I've talked to Barbara about my struggle is like I have a self-destructive streak, and it's not like I'm going to go and use fill in the blank substances. I'm going to go and do things that will actually get me hurt or killed. I will, I used to do a lot of self-harm. I would cut myself and burn myself just because it's like, hey, it's entertaining. Look, I'm going to put a cigarette out my arm. Woo! That is not healthy.
No.
That is some really unresolved shit going on.
I'll tell you what is healthy. All this. I'm kidding.
So,
Bacon?
And then, like, you have the flip side of that, where some people, their addiction to food actually
Yeah.
stems from childhood, and then it's what you don't see, right? Like when I feel like I've done wrong, I don't do what normal people do. I don't go and eat. I actually withhold food from myself, and I will not allow myself to eat. That was used as a form of punishment, and it's normal. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what I do because I'm supposed to.
I messed up.
Mhm.
I have to hurt myself because there was physical discipline.
And it's it's the whole process of learning to rewire the brain. And that's one of the reasons why I use my psilocybin, is because according to studies and scientific, it rewires the brain. Here in America, they're pushing that ketamine, which I'm against because it's chemical, and I try to avoid the chemical stuff. I like natural.
Yeah.
But it's scientifically proven that it rewires the brain.
And it continues to make the brain grow and regenerate parts that had done, like your brain stays, it becomes more active the more you use it, which I think is only beneficial.
There's a really good book on trauma and how trauma rewires our brain and how to heal from it. We have to rewire our brain. The Body Keeps Score.
Yeah.
Great book. There's actually a couple workbooks that have come out for it. One I think is by the author, and the other ones are like other psychiatrists. But the author started by working at the VA with PTSD and how to, like, you have to, like, over time rewire your brain. Having similar experiences with different outcomes is like a very important part of that.
And another good book for women, because of sexual abuse, you become addicted, right?
Yeah.
It's a book called The Courage to Heal. Take it slowly. It fucks you up because it makes you face a lot of things that you're not ready. But what I love about that book is that it's kind of like what we're trying to do with this recovery group and not feeling alone, is that other women in detail actually share their stories. So, but we are down to the last 8 minutes. So I do want to ask you guys, like, as Igladier's recovery group grows, what role do you each feel called to take when helping others walk the path of healing or the path of recovery?
Do you mind if I start on this question? I specifically want to point out Chris on this, and then I will hand the question over to Chris, because I don't have the experience in AA that Chris has, and so I wouldn't know. I know that something I could have used something,
Right.
and I could have used it a lot sooner in my life. I could have avoided a lot of terrible things had I had that, and I didn't have it. So starting this is important to me, and I know it's probably more important to Chris because he's been more involved in these types of things and stuff. So, my role where I see this is I will attend the meetings. I will be supportive. I will be a resource to people. But I really am, like, I think from a kindred point of view, this is really Chris is the guy you're going to want to talk to when it all comes down to this. So take it away, Chris.
I would like to see it grow and become something and step away. I want it to be its own thing. That's one of the things I saw in AA that it irked me, was everything's about Bill's story, Bill this, Bill that, and that's just an ego. And if you know about anything about Bill, he wasn't a good person, even in recovery.
Some things you just can't recover.
Yeah, he still was a sex addict and cheated, and but I just start it. That's all I want to do. Get it started and let people take it. Let it become for us to recover and become whole. That's all I would like to see, is people become whole.
And I'm glad that's your point of view, because
That's
Mac, like, for you to say that Chris is going to be the head of it because you don't have experience. Like, that's the whole reason why Chris is wanting to do this. Like, let
Right.
me, remember, I'm going to call you out on your bullshit, right?
Right.
So
I know. Yeah.
he is wanting to start something like this because people like you, people like John, people like myself, we didn't feel safe to go to AA, and he watched other people struggle with that.
Mm.
And so even now, like, yes, you might be not turning to substance or shopping or anything like that, but you're getting addicted to those negative headspace,
Yeah.
those negative thoughts, right?
But it's
And
fun
so
beating myself up.
that's
Mhm.
that community that you want to build. Is you don't have to fucking be alone, Mac.
Yeah, man.
You have
Mac.
support.
The camera's not on me, so
I don't.
I
but you
don't
do.
exist.
Look, even the bunny, even Grumpy
Angry
Bunny
bunny.
says,
Angry bunny.
"Yeah, okay." Like, and that's kind of the idea of it.
Mm.
And so I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
I just bring comedy relief, just like and I say that in the sense of not like laughing at addiction, but I have been told that I have this gift of I can help lighten when it's like super heavy
Yes.
conversation. I can like help not take the seriousness away, but help lighten it.
Well, and
That
that's
comedic
And-
relief,
yeah,
which is
comedy
good.
relief is
Yeah.
basically-
and
yeah.
that's actually important.
Yeah.
It
Because,
is.
Again, it creates those happy endorphins,
Mhm.
and it's like John and I, like, we come from very abusive backgrounds, and like we have to work on ourselves through our marriage and friendship, because it's like things are going to happen, and in the past we've either been belittled, beaten, verbally abused, whatever. And so when those moments happen, it's reassuring each other, like, oh, I'm not that person.
Yeah.
And so each time that those things happen and then good things happen with it, we actually heal from that trauma.
Well, and like I've gone to a couple meetings because I have a coworker who's really big into it, and it has kind of been his his social circle now. More power to him. But I remember sitting there, and it like at this one meeting, I'm like, it's just they're doing like a trauma competition, and it's like that's not what recovery is. It's not like,
Yeah.
well, my trauma's worse and I was more better, I was a more
Yeah.
fucked up addict than you, and then they're sitting like under their breath like shit talking what like, oh, I went through it. It's like it doesn't matter. It's not a competition over addiction, who's the bigger addict.
So we're gonna have to wrap this up, but I do want to ask you about, because there's both ends of that spectrum.
Yeah.
There are people that are too embarrassed about the things that they've done, and there are people that are bragging like it's some rodeo and they're getting this big ass belt buckle for it. So your approach to someone who's too ashamed to talk about it or anything.
Look, there's a lot of things people have done that they don't want to talk about, that they're ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
Don't live in regrets. The past is the past, and it made you who you are today. Your past made you go, hey, I need help. So you need to accept that and embrace that and thank it.
And
I
be
don't-
proud of it.
And
Yeah.
be proud of it, because it brought you to get,
Right.
to
Some
ask
people
for
are
help.
too fucking coward to like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
face.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact if you're stepping up and saying, I need help, like, man, you're one brave motherfucker.
Yeah.
Be proud of that.
Yeah, don't be embarrassed about asking for help. And for the person that's like, oh, well, he only did this. Well, I used to do this. Fuck you, man. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you did or what got you here. You're here, and we're all the same. I don't care. Oh, I drank 10 bottles of vodka every day and plus 6 bottles of Everclear. I'm a real alcoholic. That
I
guy
shot
only
heroin in my eyeball.
Yeah. It's not a competition. It doesn't matter. You're hurting. What matters is we're all hurting inside, and we need to heal. We're looking for an escapism, be it spending money, sex, going to the gym, shooting heroin, drinking alcohol. It doesn't matter. We're looking to escape who we are and what's going on inside us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all of us coming together to face what's going on inside us, because honestly, we all have those same feelings and we're running from the same shit. It don't matter what it is. We're still running from the same shit. How you chose to run from it, that was your thing. And I'm not here to judge how you ran from it because I'm running from it too.
And what you've done and what you went through, you don't have to share it until you're ready to.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to like give us all the, you know, we're not taking confession, okay?
Yeah.
Confess your sins.
And as we wrap this up, to just like paint the picture for listeners or viewers of what Igladir is going to help build with the recovery program, is that to start out, we're going to be basing it strictly online. There's going to be an online chat through Signal.
Yes.
So that way, anytime, any place that people need to talk, whether it's with you, Mac, me, or themselves, like there's going to be that platform that's not fucking social media based.
Yeah.
And then once a month, we're looking at having an online meeting group through Restream. It's not going to be streamed live. We're going to be pretty much following HIPAA regulations. There will be, you know, hopefully we'll come up with some type of like form for people to sign that like this isn't for you to come to and gossip. This is for full support.
And
We're going to be keeping the token stupid word system alive, but like what you guys have talked about is that, you know, some people wait for the 10 years or whatever. We're actually going to be creating a token for every day in the first 30 days of recovery. Because
every moment counts.
Days to make change, and every one of those days count. People can take them, people don't have to, whatever. And then we're going to be doing a monthly one up to first year. And then we talked about doing one for every wheel.
Yeah, the wheel of the year. For each one of the major Sabbats.
And when we talk about tokens, it's intention, right? Pagan. And so we're going to be making wood tokens with sigils. This we'll have more images as we go along, right? But we're looking to launch the first meeting by Samhain, right?
I do want to. I really feel like there's so much more to dive into. We really kind of just scratch the surface because like there is like I you know, maybe we should have a second one of these because
this is how I got ringed into being a co-host. I went to 2 shows and then I just like he actually won't let Barbara and I leave.
I will never. They haven't left my house since the first episode.
Is that why Barbara has that sign that says "Help me"?
So, and my thought is that maybe we should do a second episode around July, and then that way, like, we have a little bit more plan for the group.
To see where we're at. Like,
so just that way, like, our viewers and listeners can be a part of that growth. And, you know, give them some time. So between this episode and the next one in July, if people have questions, they can email Chris. They can email Igladir. We can read the questions live. I
also,
know that
if you have thoughts and ideas.
Right. If you have stories that you want to tell, you know, we can have stories anonymously. This might even be a 3-parter. Who knows? But just because that kind of brings on to like, you're not alone.
Right? Exactly. And
so it gives that platform for people.
And if the signal's up and running, I work graveyards and 3 a.m. I'm awake. If people are struggling or in another nation or something, they're struggling, they want to reach out, feel free. I work graves.
So, you know, if you're interested, since Signal part of this program is up and running, we can actually make that live now if you want. Let's start introductions and
people want to start just reaching out just so we see where people are at. Is this something this community wants? Are you guys looking for this? You need this, or just to talk? You know?
So, all right. So we are at an hour and a half. We'll kind of leave it like that. So we'll do a second episode in July. And then in the time being, keep an eye on Meets in Midgard, Igladir, Kindred. We will get that Signal link up and running and people can start joining. So, all right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And we will see you guys in July. Does that work, Mac?
That works. Chris, thank you. Yeah, we're wrapping this up. Chris, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And we're going to dive back into this again. I really want to give you another plug again, really quickly here. Plug. But you are offering guided meditations. This can be a tool for recovery, or it can just be a tool for yourself for any spiritual daily growth or whatever. So it doesn't have to be recovery oriented, but it can be as well.
And I do use tarot for those meditations to see where the person is at.
So it's a tarot guided and can be psilocybin as well. And so thank you everybody so much for joining us. Chris, thank you. John, Barbara, everybody.
And the bunny.
Bunny. Oh, but I'm gonna have to edit this and cut out some minutes because I think we're a little over. I'll cut out the theme song for the thing. All right, we're good, everybody. Bye.